Hi, I'm Whitney's fiance Brandon, and I have ADHD and autism. Uh, so I thought I'd answer these questions for you that Whitney gave me. Um, the first one is, who am I and what do I consider my disabilities? Um, yeah, my name is Brandon, and I uh, have ADHD and autism, like I said, and I would consider also my issues with sleeping to be a part of my disability. I don't know if it's a separate thing, but I have insomnia and sleep apnea, which greatly impact me. Um, I guess to explain further with that is uh, it's really complicated. There's a lot that goes into it, but with ADHD, it primarily affects my information processing. I have a very small working memory. I can hold very few pieces of information in my mind at once. It affects my memory really badly, which could be as something as seemingly simple as I constantly lose things. I constantly will set down my car keys or something and then not know where they are, and then go looking for them. And then when I find them, finally, I'll realize I forgot something else. That kind of thing, which is a big hassle, um, and it impacts my ability to focus on things, uh, reading or just anything really. Um, if I'm at a job and I'm required to be multitasking, thinking about more than one thing at once, I just can't do it. Um, and what they, I guess what you'd call executive functioning is a big problem for me. So the ability to get started with things, to get moving, is a big problem for me. Uh, Both because it just takes a lot of effort for me to focus. So it's always a big effort for me to get going with something because it's like it takes so much work to just get into the groove. And also just because executive functioning, the executive functioning part of your brain is important just to regulate that kind of stuff. And it's kind of not working correctly for me. Um, so I can't organize and plan. And if there's like multiple steps, I don't know how to get started with it. I can only think about one thing at a time, and normally my mind instead is thinking about 500 things, and I can't prioritize. So I end up just doing nothing. There's a lot of being paralyzed and just not doing anything because I'm so overwhelmed by all the things that are happening, and I have very little control over that. There's some stuff that I can do to help with it, but ultimately I have very little control over that. Um, and then with autism, is a lot of overlap. The disabilities are similar, but with autism, there's a lot of social stuff with it where I don't understand. I don't pick up on social cues very easily. Um, I don't understand social rules especially when I first started socializing as a kid. It's like everybody kind of understood things that I'm like, how do they know that? Um, I and I don't understand why people are offended by things that I do or what's right or wrong in a social situation, that sort of thing. Um, and like sensory overload and stimming, which is complicated. It's like basically self-soothing, where I rub my hands a lot is the main thing that I do. Um, so sorry, that was a lot, but um, what led me to become aware of my disabilities? I think I've always known that I had disabilities. I just didn't know the I didn't know there was a name for it. I just thought it was something was wrong with me. But I've always known something was wrong with me, you know, so-called wrong with me. Um, I was always in school. Everybody would finish things more quickly than me. They would pick up on it faster than me. I was always felt like I was behind. Yet somehow I was also really smart, and it was just like confusing. It was like, well, I must be lazy or somehow stupid because I'm smart, but I'm also slow. Um, And also just always knowing, people, a lot of times with people with autism, they say it's like alien syndrome. It's like you feel like you're not the same as everybody else. I've always felt that way. I just also, again, I didn't know there was a name for it. Um, what do people tend to misunderstand about me the most? I mean, there's a lot of things with ADHD. I don't think that they understand. They can't see what I'm struggling with, so it might look like I'm on the outside. I just look like I'm just a regular person. There's nothing weird going on, so it's like I must just be lazy. I must just not care. I must, when I'm not doing the things I should be doing, or if I'm not remembering things, it's like I must just not care, and it's like that's not true. It's a constant, massive struggle for me to remember things, to stay focused, to get motivated. Um, I do care. I do want to do a good job with things. Um, it's there's a whole lot inside that nobody sees. That's just a constant struggle. Um, and then I think people misunderstand. They think that I tend to be pretty flat in my expression. I don't have a lot of. I'm not very expressive, I guess you'd say. Um, and also, I will say things bluntly, and I'm trying to say things bluntly because I respect somebody, or because it's just the truth. I don't mean anything by it, and people get offended and they think that I'm not empathic, or I'm not sensitive. But it's like that's not true. That's the opposite of the truth. I'm extremely empathic. I feel things deeply. I'm very emotional. I have a lot of compassion for other people. I just I just don't think or feel the same way that other people do. I don't process information the same way. Um, and I have different values, in the sense that I just value truth, just being honest. I don't understand why being honest should be offensive. I try to keep that in mind, but it's not doesn't make sense to me. Um, what are some of my biggest challenges living in a neurotypical world? Um, like I said, people misunderstanding me, that's a big one. People not seeing what I'm going through. Um, so I don't think it's easy to have any disability, obviously, but I think there's something particularly difficult about having these sorts of issues that I do, because if I didn't have an arm, or if I had some sort of challenge like that, people could see and be like, oh, well, they obviously need help. We should help them. We should build a ramp, or we should give them a tool to help them. Nobody sees what I'm going through. Um, and it's very, very difficult. It is absolutely um, a serious daily struggle, with sensory overload, with not being able to get out of bed, with not being able to focus. Every single second that I have to focus on something in a conversation, it's taking a big toll on me, um, and people don't see it. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I'll get angry, and then people, it looks like it's from out of nowhere, but it's not. I just am under the hood trying to control myself, and struggling very, very poorly. Um, which is also something I don't know if the later questions really cover this, but that's another big problem, is emotional regulation. I have a hard time regulating my emotions. It's like I don't even really understand what I'm feeling until it's too late, which makes it very difficult. People like, why are you so angry all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense, or um, they just don't get it. I don't know a better way to explain it. They just don't get it a lot of times, and then it's hard for me, because I'm trying to constantly regulate, and I don't even know what I'm feeling. I just feel overwhelmed, and then it's too late, and then it's boiled over, and I'm furious, and I'm I'm I want to punch something, and I'm angry. I'm so angry. And and I have very little control over that. I I still want to take responsibility for what I do have control over, but I ultimately really don't have a lot of control over that. I just can be aware, try my best to be aware of what's happening, and if I feel like I'm being emotionally overwhelmed, try different tactics to control it. But it's ultimately something that it's like a disability. I can't fully control it. Um, and so describe an instance of meltdown and what it feels like. So like a meltdown is usually for me is like angry. It's like it's all about anger. I feel so overwhelmed. I'm very irritable and very easily frustrated by things. Um, but I don't really. It's like I'm constantly trying to keep the steam down, the pressure down, and takes a huge toll on me. It's because it's constantly I'm trying to keep it in check, and it's almost overflowing. But I don't really know what the emotion is exactly. I just know that it's overwhelming. Um, and then it eventually explodes, and it's like people liken it to like a computer with a weak processor. It's like I can only handle a little bit at a time, and if it overloads, it's like the whole system crashes. It's like so how that feels to me is like I'm like literally crashing. My only thing that I can do to keep myself alive, to keep myself going, is to have a massive outburst and just scream on the top at the top of my lungs, or I want to punch a wall, which I have done in the past, um, because I literally cannot hold it anymore. It's too much. I cannot do it anymore. It has to come out somewhere, um, and I'm completely overloaded inside. I don't know a better way to explain that. I hope that's okay. What are the positive things about being who I am? Uh, I think like I said, I think I actually am very compassionate and empathic, and I think that's common with people with autism. They're actually very kind and caring people. They just don't understand other people, and they don't express themselves the way other people do a lot of the time. Um, so they might seem like they're cold or uncaring or callous or whatever, but it's like it's usually very often anyway. It's the opposite, where we're extremely sensitive, um, we're extremely caring, and it's just there's just so many emotions that it's we kind of just like shut down, and we're just like flat emotionally. We look that way anyway. Um, so I'm very caring, and I do enjoy my ability to hyper focus on things. I enjoy that for sure. I like having very intense hobbies where I'm just like so into a video game, or I collect fragrances, um, and it's a lot of fun to learn about that stuff. And I like I love getting into that zone where it's like I'm just focused on that and nothing else. Everything else melts away. It's very hard to get to that point, which is frustrating. And there's also negative drawbacks about it where it becomes an obsession, and I can't think about anything else and that sort of thing. But I ultimately do enjoy hyper focusing and having very, very strong passions about things and knowing a lot about them and wanting to learn more. It's my favorite thing is to learn about things. And so I think that it can help me learn deeply about different subjects, and also just having a wide variety of general knowledge, because I'm something will get in my mind. It's like, how does that work? And then I can't think about anything else until even if it's just like Wikipedia or something, I go and read about it, because it's like I have to know how that works. Um, and so it helps me have like just a wide variety of uh, general knowledge. Um, And yeah, so I also like that I can be very, very efficient and get stuff done if I am in the right space. And I think that's it. Sorry this ran on a little bit long. I hope this helps everybody understand at least my case of ADHD and autism a little bit more. Thank you.